there about how the marketing is fine when you're in a school that doesn't necessarily have a need for marketing in terms of getting enrolment, but you made this kind of observation about the research about the right governance, and I guess it piques my interest in terms of the fact that we've probably just transitioned to new governance in the last couple of years, and that's a really different dynamic shift in terms of governance at the school. So I think long term that's probably something that I'm still playing around with. I think it's gone well internally in terms of that governance, but we're probably at a really critical point, I think, in terms of where that goes externally, how that looks. You know what I mean? And I think that was a significant point for me in the presentation. I was really like, okay, yes, anecdotally you think about, different principles, you've really got to consider that, how it plays out in the community. But your research was very much saying the right governance is an issue in terms of whether that works for you or doesn't work for you.
Yeah, that's right. So the strategic aspect of the marketing, from what I was saying, is the marketing needs to play into the strategic direction of the school. So when you said you've got new principal, new college leadership team, it's relatively young, whatever the charter or the vision of the school is, the way in which you want to lead, the marketing needs to work with that. So like that example with the Canadian study, if you find there's an issue or there's something you want to direct, the marketing needs to then work with that across the levels. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think because I guess everybody was probably, and certainly because I'm new and I wasn't there when that governance changed over, when that leadership changed over, I'm sort of coming in, a year or so into that transition. But I think people were obviously always very conscious of you've got to maintain a particular image of the school. But I think we're at a really critical juncture about where that image is, because it is a distinct difference. Like the actual principal and the leadership that's come in have come in with very clear agenda to change the look and feel of the school, for want of a better word. So,
sure. Yep. Well, fantastic. Yeah, so I think that's for the role of marketing. I think that's a vehicle for you to do that, to strategically maybe realign or to shift maybe the brand or the image.
Yeah, and I think then looking at what you sort of talked to me about all the data from the actual community in terms of what they value in the school, it was interesting to see that people were obviously still naming some of the keywords and key phrases about the school that I think we would like, that the change in leadership still probably is carrying forward the exact same, I guess, ideologies that we would want.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I guess following on from that then, there was an observation you made about the research talking about incorrect marketing. And I was thinking, what's incorrect marketing? Like, how do we go wrong?
Yeah.
I think it's really tricky because I'm not from a marketing background to be somebody who's kind of tasked with doing that in a school where everything doesn't necessarily need active marketing. But you raised for me kind of the thing that's always in the back of my mind about incorrect marketing, like how do we blow it?
Yeah, no, I think we actually, there's like an anecdote or a time when we were speaking, and you said, I made the comment about marketing for some other schools should really look at Open Day and all those events. And you made the comment that for Terrace, it doesn't necessarily need that. So what the research is saying, that if you incorrectly align the brand with the purpose, so say if you kind of did some marketing that almost sought to get enrollments, it would misalign and it reflect badly on the brand.
Yeah, okay.
So, for example, like I said, a lot of the research came from universities, and it was saying that, for example, if you're Harvard and Stanford, if they started, not letterbox dropping, but if they started marketing saying, we do the best in academics and all type of things, it would cheapen the brand. It wouldn't actually align with the tradition or the history of the brand and their demographic.
Yeah, okay. So I guess that's probably the shift in my thinking. I've gone from a school where we very much ran ads that said, there's vacancies available, whereas I wouldn't dare do that at Terrace because I think people would suddenly, that'd ring alarm bells for people.
Yeah, definitely. I think so, and I think the clients will. What the literature is saying that like it would ring alarm bells, or it wouldn't sit well with our current clients. It's not echoing their values or their wants.
Yeah, sure. The other thing, I guess, then you talk there about the difference, the distinction between our brand and the brands of other competitors is this notion of holistic. And I'm really keen to pursue what does holistic actually mean for our clientele.
Yeah.
Like what is it that, because I get the community thing, that probably comes with Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
But the holistic, like the fact that people openly sort of pinpoint that as being a real defining element of our school.
And repeatedly as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm genuinely curious what that actually means for them.
Yeah, no, I think with like the research initiative, one of the recommendations, I think that's something that should be looked into. So it's something which needs to be unpacked, what it does actually mean for them.
Yeah, because I think, holistic for me can be one thing, and, am I pushing
in different...
Yeah.
And with the themes that came up in one of the competitor analysis, it kept coming up, and the words kept coming up, nurturing and supportive. And while it linked in with it saying it's not a masculine, I think at a school like Nudgee, for example, they do that. Holistic for them is the sport with academic. I think Terrace has it differently, and it should be looked into.
Gosh, isn't that interesting? Because the next point I sort of wrote down as you were talking was about that notion of less masculine. That's a defining point for us.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely interested, thinking, what is the less masculine? What makes us, and is it because we're not pushing sport as being an element of holistic?
Well, I'm assuming so. I didn't look into it with the primary data, but sport didn't really come up at all. It didn't really have anything
about... Not surprising, because we're duds at
it. It's kind of true. But there wasn't, even other schools, I know Churchie, they're doing a big thing on transitioning from boys to men and this type of movement about kind of selling the development of correct masculinity or something. But the words, the theme, it literally was nurturing. And that word wasn't put in with any of the marketing survey or stakeholder stuff. That word was forthcoming. So
yeah. But your observation and kind of the conclusion you've reached about the difference between us and Nudgee, I think is probably spot on. What holistic means for us is quite distinct from holistic at Nudgee, which I think is really interesting because we're same.
Yeah.
I guess the next bit I had, you make some points about the price stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think the interesting thing from a marketing perspective for us is we're at this point where we're making some decisions about how we go in terms of scholarships, and even the use of the connotations attached to the word scholarships. Terrace certainly offer some sort of scholarship, for want of a better word, inverted commas, entry into the school, but we made a really conscious decision to refer to it as merit entry. And for many years it was quite covert, we didn't offer them.
Yeah.
And that was a distinction between us and some of those competitors you talk about. I think I'm getting a conclusion from what you're saying in terms of that research that the price stuff, the scholarship stuff is probably all sort of tied up in the same sort of thing in terms of being a Catholic school. Yeah.
The price is funny because the research says for elite schools and with old boy connections and repeat customers, price doesn't necessarily really matter. But when you look at the competitor analysis within the market, Terrace actually has a really strong position because of its less price, Catholic school, high academic outcomes. It's filling a very good niche across those three kind of competitive advantages.
Wouldn't it be it'd be great if we could just jack our fees up just to see what happens.
See how we go.
Yeah. Anyway, that was more just an observation of something I was sort of thinking, that's probably not something you're aware of, is the whole scholarship spirit and entry stuff that we've got going on. And when you were talking about it, I thought, that's interesting, because it's a difference, if we're a Catholic school and people think we're kind of economy and anybody could get in if, we're affordable, yet we start offering what is essentially scholarships, that's saying actually we're quite expensive.
That's, yeah.
But the other thing, I think the final thing that I was sort of thinking about was, you talk about the fact that if any of those competitors pushes community as being their brand, they suddenly undercut us completely. And, I can't second guess what Grammar are going to suddenly start doing down the road in terms of their marketing, but I guess what's the magic? How do we not erode our brand, really?
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily that if they start doing it, they're gonna undercut us. Like the unique package that we've got, it's kind of across 3 or 4 key drivers, like the Catholic education, high academic outcomes, the teaching and community. It's across those elements. I think the differentiator for Grammar is Catholic education as well. But that without saying that if Terra starts to lose its unique competitive advantages to other players, we shift and we kind of get left behind. And so therefore it's kind of like companies that fail to innovate, you kind of get left behind and then they continue to do better.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying to me is keep innovating on that kind of community holistic in terms of what it means for us. That's what we've got to keep pushing.
Yeah, that's right. As well as being responsive to the community. So with the relationship marketing, ensuring that we are covering the wants and needs and being responsive to issues and thoughts they have.
Yeah, okay. Did you get any sort of data? You might not have got this is sort of big picture stuff, but about the sort of turnover in a client base, like the community perception now, how long does that perception last? You know what I mean?
Except for that case study on the Canadian one, that said within 5 years. Within 5 years, there was a distinct shift in the market.
Yeah, okay.
And it had travelled through word of mouth, from them instigating changes to then the upcoming new kind of years saying that this school is seen as doing it. So
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, but except for that anecdotal, I guess, case study, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, but I guess in a school it's cyclical to some extent, isn't
it? Yeah, I guess so. Like you've got one cohort which moves up throughout. Yeah.
That's probably all I sort of was curious about following that.
Yeah, definitely.
Was there anything else you sort of stuck out to you that you thought, oh God, I should really point that out to us?
Well, not really. There's obviously a lot more in the actual project itself. But this is kind of more of an opportunity to talk through some of those things and talk through that.
Well, look, I'm happy if you're happy. That was fascinating.
Okay, excellent. I hope it proves valuable to you in the business.
Yeah, like I said, quite a bit from that I'm actively taking. There's going to be some stuff in terms of that governance and how we project that change in leadership. Also, I'm keen to get some more data about this holistic, because I think that's going to inform some of the stuff that we're going to do in terms of future marketing, particularly because I think that plays into exactly what you pointed out to me. We've got to keep on top of being innovative in terms of what community means, what holistic means, and making sure that we're a really distinctive identity in that GPS market that we're in.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Well, great. Well, I think that's time for our Q&A, so I'll wrap it up. Thank you very much, Zoe. I really appreciate everything.
Oh, no, thank you, Joel. It's been excellent. Thank you.
No worries.